Hello and welcome to The Big Fight, a show that is young at 23, the oldest running debate show on Indian news television. I'm Sanket Upadhyay. You know, it has become some sort of a trend. Every week there is some or the other raid, either by the IT department or the ED or the CBI, and then there is this conversation that these raids are against either the critics of the government or the opponents, political opponents of the government, and how there are different standards that the government has, how there are no raids or raids begin, but then they kind of, soften the blow when it turns out that this opponent is not an opponent anymore. He's actually now aligned to the government. But before all of this and this discourse becomes normal, before this gets normalized, a very important question needs to be asked. That are we adding a new record every week to this existing track record? And does this mean anything? That's the big question. We're not going to get into the specifics of each and every case which is under investigation right now, because number one, we are not an investigation agency. We are a news channel. We can only debate. And number two, it is for these political players to figure out what the strategy is going to be. Are these double standards now glaring and very clearly visible to the people of the country? Let's put this to a debate. ED, CBI, is this action only on the opposition? And is this a clear case of double standards? And are these double standards very, very clearly visible? I would like to welcome our guests. Prakash Chand Sharma, leader of the BJP, Onika Mehrotra, spokesperson of the Congress Party, Deshatan Nigam is an advocate in the Supreme Court. Thank you very much for joining us. Subodh Kumar, spokesperson of the RJD, Jasmine Shah, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party, Ashutosh is a senior journalist and a political analyst, is also with us, and in just a short moment we'll have representatives from the Samajwadi Party as well. Let's begin this debate with what we call is the first punch, where each one of you get 1 minute time for your opening comments. I would like to begin with you, Mr. Prakash Chand Sharma. Your time begins now.
Sanket, there is a very famous quote, follow the process, not the individual. And country runs by the process. That's name is the Constitution of India. But unfortunately, the people who are opposing right now the subject you raise it, they came into the power, and they was into the power through some dynasty politics via the route of some wild card entry into it. And they was ruling the country, they was doing the things. Now, once there is the agencies they are working behind, so now they are getting the safeguard and getting the shelter as a, as a concern, ki, okay, this is wrong with us. If the wrong is with us, between the party, within the party, somewhere the opposition party itself are supporting each other, ki, okay, this is happening wrong with the other party, and somewhere they are saying it, ki, no, this is right, they are corrupt. So agencies is doing the things. We should go to the court trial, the process trial, not the media trial. But just as a safeguard, they are just going for the media trial to save their image into the public, and public knows everything.
Sure. Okay. Onika Mehrotra.
I think BJP doesn't practice what it preaches. It has a certain pattern. When it was trying to come to power, it started with defaming as much as they could to the opposition, to the ruling dispensation, and then when they have come to the power, they have completely dismantled and taken over the institutions so that no voices can be heard. If you have any differences, you're curbed, it's crushed, and nothing is allowed to be spoken. And the best instrument that they have recently used is to use the ED, CBI to as much as they can to the opponent. Now, if they are thinking that Vipaksh Mukh Bharat, they are sadly mistaken. They need to know that the country runs to a democratic pattern. I would like to disagree with him, but I'll do that later. He says it runs with a process, not individual, and BJP does right that. It follows the individual, not the process. Is hum do, hamare do.
Okay. Mr. Subodh Kumar of the RJD.
See, as many of us know that CBI, ED and other institutions are a caged parrot. They speak their master's voice. When you look to the suspected conviction on corruption, you see that maximum number of raids have been on the opposition leaders. If BJP is doing justice, they should appear just. So they are not just, when you go back and look to what they have done in last 8 or 9 years, 96% of the cases, suspect corruption cases, has been charged against the opposition leaders. Why they are doing so? My humble submission to you is that they are doing so primarily because when you talk about caste census, the moment you talk about alienated section of the society, the moment you talk about farmers' empowerment, the moment you talk about giving job to the youth, they come with a new formula that attack the leaders who are talking all these things of empowering. And that is the reason why the opposition leader, in cohesiveness, in homogeneity, they have been targeted from Kanyakumari to Kashmir.
Okay. Mr. Deshratan Nigam.
Sanket, in fact, anybody who heard the speech of the Prime Minister from the ramparts of the Red Fort would clearly know that this was coming. And the Prime Minister clearly said zero tolerance for corruption and hate the corrupt and corruption both. And he was very clear about it. Those who got the hint probably could understand. Probably opposition was sleeping, they couldn't catch the hint that there will be zero tolerance for corruption. Prior to 2014, the entire newspapers were full of corruption, scams, everything. If you just pick up the newspaper, there was only corruption. In fact, Manmohan Singh admitted of 2G scam, so in so many words in the interview also, admitting that there was a wrongdoing and corruption in that, and the highest office of the day. And secondly, I'll raise a question for which I believe you'll do a program one day. When most of these dynasty parties had come up, their founders, what was the property they had at that point of time and assets? And what is the property and assets that they have now? And what was the sources of their income? Because they were full-time in politics.
Sure. Okay.
This is a very important question. I think we all should ponder.
Absolutely. And I'll take this conversation forward, the point that you are making, and put this in a universal context.
Yes,
not against only the opposition, because that's where the problem and that's where the debate is.
I said dynasty politics.
I'll come to you. Not just dynasty politics, but generally. I mean, if there is a rule against corruption, that it should be applicable to all, across all states, north or south, east or west, right? So I'll come to you in just a short moment and ask you questions on that. Mr. Ashutosh.
Sanket, what is happening in the country, it's very clear. The Prime Minister said zero tolerance to corruption, but I think it has become 50% intolerance to corruption in that sense. Those who belong to BJP and closer to the BJP, they will not be touched, and those who are in the opposition camp will be touched. It has three very, very serious consequences, and which will ultimately weaken our democracy. First, they're compromising the rule of law. Rule of law is based on equality before the law, and it cannot be discriminatory. Point number two, weakening opposition. If you are weakening opposition means that you are only targeting opposition, and if opposition is weakened, that means democracy is also going to be compromised. That will lead to the authoritarianism. Point number three, it is corroding the steal from India. That is creating a committed bureaucracy. We are committed to a particular party and ideology. If that happens, then the entire administration at the all India level will collapse one day. So I think what the government is doing, it's basically playing with fire, which has a far-reaching consequences to Indian Republic and also to the Indian democracy.
All right, Jasmine Shah, spokesperson of the Aam Aadmi Party.
Sanket, the entire country is witnessing today how the BJP in the last 8 years or 9 years has given birth to a very perverse model of politics. I call it the buy, bend, punish model of Indian politics. What is buy? It means that if you cannot defeat an opposition party at the elections, you will go and buy out their MPs and MLAs after elections. In the last 9 years, 211 MPs and MLAs have been bought over by the BJP after elections. Never happened in the history of Indian politics. Second is the punish. If I cannot buy you, I will threaten you with ED and CBI so that you switch over. And the moment you switch over, everything will be forgotten. There are endless examples. I don't want to read out the long list, but dozens of leaders, Mukul, Roy, Suvendu, Adhikari, Narayan Rane, all of these people were earlier when they were in opposition party, no problem. Moment the cases were against them, but the moment they were in BJP, everything washed over. Third is the punish, and this is what is happening with parties like Aam Aadmi Party. If we cannot buy you or we cannot bend you into submission, then we will unleash the full fury of these agencies. We will put false cases against you. For 9 months, we will put you under jail even without any kind of a conviction being held in the
Yeah.
court of law.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
not just this, even the offices of the governors, Sanket, are being used against governments, opposition governments, just to stall their work.
Okay,
And
okay,
this is
sure.
the perverse model.
Time up. Nahid Lari Khan of the Samajwadi Party. Your opening comments, please.
Sanket ji, it is RSS and BJP's sanskars to constantly tell lies and indulge in criminal activities. One of the national president of BJP was caught red-handed accepting bribe worth lakhs of rupees to have work done by PM. So, चोरों को तो सब चोरी नजर आते हैं. And BJP has more than 20,000 crore in the form of FDs and bonds. And the way central government is misusing the central agencies against the opposition. Similarly, during emergency, the then ruling party misused the agencies against the opposition parties, and the result was that PM, along with the entire ruling party, was booted out by the public. Now, in 2024, the history of 1977 will be repeated. The people are just eagerly waiting for the elections. Now, you see that BJP government claimed that by demonetization, printing of fake currency will be rooted out. But NCRB data suggests otherwise, clearly stating printing of rupees 2,000 fake notes has gained more momentum from 2018 to 2019. Fake currencies skyrocketed in UP. यहाँ तो जाली नोट छपने की मशीन मिल रही है. And if you see the corruption index, India is ranked at 85 among 180 countries. The report says agencies for controlling corruption have become weak. Journalists, social workers, and those speaking against the government are being targeted.
Okay.
Now you see the BJP Karnataka MLA and his son. They were caught with crores of
Okay.
rupees
Okay.
of bribes.
So yes, we've got all the opening
years,
comments. Nahid Lari Khan, I'll come back to you. Everybody got 1 minute time for their opening comments. Let me quickly also go across. I believe your opening comment has not happened. Yes,
No,
Onika.
I did speak.
Yeah.
But I was like a little amazed, as I said, they don't practice what they preach, and they rightly did so. I mean, they're talking about Prime Minister's speech at Red Fort and saying that zero tolerance. Right under his nose, presently, a few days back, Karnataka getting 8 crore, the MLA son, and then where's the tolerance
Yeah,
then?
good that you
What
pointed
happens?
that. Yeah, good that you pointed that out, and that is why the whole debate about double standards, Mr. Prakash Chand Sharma. You look at this very week. I am not talking about the past 10 days. By the way, there is no week that goes by where you don't hear of a CBI, ED, IT raid, right? So this week at a glance, and you are free to add if you have more names. If my knowledge is not up to date, BRS, RJD, Aam Aadmi Party, CPM, NCP, right? But in this very week, we also heard of incidents in Karnataka. We have also heard the opposition give you various examples of the many cases where people were opposed to the BJP, but under pressure from these agencies, they switched sides and now suddenly their cases have vanished. Which is why I asked my question. If this is not a double standard, then what is?
Sanket, there are two words, perception and the reality. What you are
Is
saying...
Karnataka perception or reality?
No, I'm telling you it's a reality. It's not
Karnataka
perception.
corruption is a reality.
No, it's not reality because see, ultimately...
Is it a reality or not?
See, Sanket, one thing we should understand, what you are talking about as a whole, because we are talking
No,
about as a
it's
whole.
definitely asking
Allow
you
me
to
to speak, ma'am. Your turn will come, please. See,
So why
one
you
thing,
baffled?
one thing is very clear. Karnataka, you said, Lokayukt is there. Something happened. So that is the reality. Reality is there. Ki already the process has been started. The trial has been started. The law is doing their own course. Whereas the perception is ki Mr. Asutosh is saying कि this compromising rule of law. How it is a compromising rule of law is there? So many whistleblowers are saying this is a very vast country, and if you will see the rule of law, the constitution of law, so many different agencies, so many different pillars are there. And you mean to say, and in this media trial, others want to say that the country is not working? All the fundamentals are not working?
Mr. Sharma, first of all, this is not a media trial, okay? What we are doing right now over here is debating.
Yeah.
Right? We are asking a
So that was the
question
reason
which is
I'm
being
saying you.
discussed and debated. As I very specifically mentioned, we are not going to get into individual
So that
cases
was the reason I'm not
because
going.
otherwise we don't have that much time.
See,
There are way too many
Lokayukt
cases.
is not there in Rajasthan and this Chhattisgarh. Where
But
the
it is
Congress
there in
ruled.
Karnataka, no?
No, Karnataka. So that was the reason the matter happens, and whatever is happening, that this is
And
in
what
the
has happened
process of
against
law.
the one moment? What has happened against the ministers
No, if something
who have
will
been
find out-
openly accused of taking 40% cut money?
So already
by the contractors?
See, already the inquiries, there is a process. You say so many many complaints are doing, everything is going
That's
through
my
process.
point. So a long leash.
No, it's a long
when
leash,
your
it's not
people
there.
are in
5
question.
days it takes.
No, it's
And
not
a very
like that.
short leash.
See,
When
one
it's
thing-
the opposition.
It's
Ashutosh wants to come in. Ashutosh.
Sanket, since Mr. Sharma has taken my name, I think this is the classic case. Normally, the media is accused of media trial by those who were accused in the corruption cases. Here, the accuser himself is saying there is a media trial. I fail to understand what kind of logic is this. Second point, you are talking about the rule of law. Rule of law means equality before law. So where is equality before law? Intelligence agencies are only targeting opposition leaders. These agencies have no time to go to the BJP leaders or those who are closer to the BJP leaders. And that's where the problem is. If rule of law is discriminatory, if state and the government discriminates, that means it has no faith in the constitution, it has no faith in the democracy, it has no faith in the fundamental concept of equality, liberty and fraternity. And that's a serious consequence. If this continues, the people will lose faith in the government, the people will lose faith in the
No, it is
state,
getting
and
stronger.
finally the state will collapse.
I know, faith is getting stronger. You see,
Yes.
I also, one more rider I want to add before we carry on this debate, Mr. Subodh Kumar. See, by no means, through the course of this debate, Mr. Deshratan Nigam, are we suggesting or absolving anyone in alleged cases of corruption, right? We feel, as a responsible news channel, that this is the job of the agency. What is being spoken about here is this great difference in the way these agencies are operating, and there is a track record that one can see. You have a track record in Mr. Shuvendu Adhikari, in Himanta Biswa Sarma, in Mukul Roy, in other cases, and then you've got a track record in many of these cases, and then you also have a track record in cases where open corruption allegations have been made against BJP leaders, and there is no action.
Look.
It's this track record that is being questioned here.
Yes, definitely. When you look back in last 8 or 9 years, the neutrality of bureaucracy has been transformed into a committed bureaucracy. And this is the reason why when you look to 2024 national election, all these raids are against the opposition leaders, generally in those states where BJP has lost the ground. When you look to Bengal, BJP has lost the ground. When you look to Bihar, coming off Nitish Kumar and Tejashi Prasad Yadav together.
No, the BJP actually gained ground in Bengal. They didn't win elections, but their vote share is the record high.
No, I am talking about national perspective. When you look to the national election, they have almost won 18 seats there. But this time they will not do so. And now you look to the Jharkhand, look to Bihar, look to the, even in Karnataka, look to Maharashtra. All these leaders which has been raided on the ground of suspension, on the ground of suspect corruption, these leaders are the leaders, they are a stumbling block. They are the stumbling block in the path of Narendra Modi once again acquiring power at the national level. And that is the reason why...
It's an important word that you used, the word called perception. Deshratan
Yes.
Nigam, do you feel that a perception is being attempted ahead of 2024 that everyone apart from leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party or their alliance members are essentially corrupt? And I'll tell you why I ask you this question. Mr. Conrad Sangma, through the entire election campaign in Meghalaya, top leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party called him corrupt. They openly accused him of job scam, land scam, housing scam. The manifesto's point number 1 of the BJP in good governance, point number 1 is that when we come back to power, we will hire or we will basically employ the services of a retired judge, and under his leadership there will be an investigation against allegations of corruption, which includes Mukul Sangma, Conrad Sangma, everyone else. And within a matter of days of making this statement came the result. The BJP is now in an alliance with the very same Conrad Sangma. Now, truth be told, if you continue with that investigation against Mr. Conrad Sangma, I will believe that yes, you are walking the talk. But that does not happen.
Sanket, let me first come to Karnataka and then I'll come to
Meghalaya.
Meghalaya.
Yeah.
Karnataka happened because the government's own Lokayukta took action. And if the respective state governments, wherever some of the political parties are there against whom action is being taken, if they had themselves have taken steps, probably ED and CBI would not have come into the picture. That's a basic difference between Karnataka.
Can you just repeat this? Because I don't understand this technicality that you are
It's not a technicality. It's not a technicality. In Karnataka, it is the state government's Lokayukta not any central agency.
And does that prevent the central agencies
No,
from jumping in?
no. Once they have already taken an action which is prior, now if you try to take over...
No. See, that's the point of long leash and short leash.
No. Let
This
me answer.
alacrity that is shown for the opposition.
Let me answer that. Let me finish and then you can come up.
Yeah.
That is the marked difference between the two. Say for example, when Arvind Kejriwal, took back the liquor policy saying about 900 crore loss has taken place, admitted. If he had himself initiated an action on that, probably CBI and ED would not have come. He would have even preempted CBI and ED. But no action was being taken at the level of many state governments. Therefore, ED and CBI is coming, and a reaction to that is withdraw consent from CBI, like West Bengal, Telangana. That's a very negative thing which is happening. Now, again, let me tell you. Now, let me come to Meghalaya. Meghalaya, it's more about politics. You have raised issues and BJP should stick to those. However, when you are not in a position to do anything, therefore you become a part of an alliance, which I generally feel morally should not be there, frankly telling you. Now, let me come to the process.
No, but then you see, the
let
point
me,
is
let me come to the process.
How does this work?
These
are the double standards that we are talking about. Will there be a probe against Conrad Sangma? Okay, let me ask you, should there be a probe against Conrad Sangma?
If there is sufficient evidence on record.
It was said in the campaigning.
Saying in the campaigning, because I am not privy to that evidence. If there is some evidence,
the nation knows about it.
Let me tell you. Once the evidence is there, presuming for the sake of argument that the BJP is not doing anything, anybody can go to the court, lodge a complaint, and then an FIR will be lodged. Then an FIR. Presuming I am saying for the sake of... Please, I never interfere in anybody's. Please.
One by one, please. Yeah.
Once there is an evidence.
So you're saying that anyone, once the evidence is there, anyone can go in and lodge this case. Then these agencies will not show
and you go approach the High Court. Okay. Approach the High. No, just 10 seconds.
They can approach the court.
Approach the High Court and ask the CBI. The courts can give it to CBI.
Prakash Sharma, since you are a direct representative of the BJP, I am directing this question to you. This is the double standard that we are talking about. All those people who were in the opposition accused of acts of corruption but joined the BJP, where are their cases right now? Right? All those people who were fighting elections separately but now are in an alliance with the BJP, where is the action against them, i.e. Mr. Conrad Sangma? And then all those people in the opposition who refuse to be with you politically, and where are their cases?
See, Sanket, one thing is very clear. Your first question answer is, you are talking about so many names. And I told you, there is a process. Because if you will see the trial process, agencies process, and they are working together. Because sometimes they go to the agency, sometimes they go to the court. So it is under process. And wherever it is the process, see, I'm telling you.
You have used the word process 4 times.
No.
What does this mean?
I'm telling you how it works. You gave me 2-3 examples. Already they got relieved from Supreme Court and High Court. Why this Mr. Satyendra Jain sitting there and why others they have not get relieved?
One moment.
Why
Mr. Conrad Sangma accused by the Home Minister. One moment, Mr. Prakash Sharma. Conrad Sangma accused by the Home Minister in rally after rally.
No, that's different. See,
why different?
I'm telling you. See, that again the demand and supply. We got into the
demand
election.
and supply.
I'm telling you, yes, it is something.
Demand and supply of what?
Demand and supply, I'm telling you. One thing is very clear. We see, madam, no, it's not about the muscle power and money power. Ma'am, please respect others.
Demand and supply in
demand and supply. See, that was demand was. See, the demand is something. We went to the election. We went with our part, whatever it was there. After election, you see, if you said about our alliance, we have our common minimum agenda because we are directly.
Mr. Sharma, the classic case, you have not been able to answer my question on double standards.
No, it's not.
If you allege in an election campaign that Conrad Sangma and others are allegedly corrupt, then why does that same rule not apply once you are in a coalition? By the way, it's your government now.
No. See, right now I am giving you a classic example. See,
everybody has joined that coalition out there.
Yeah, everyone has. except TMC.
So welfare of the state, we are working together. We are not doing the Congress and their alliance parties like keep putting the things in a very dark, and we are not serving the people.
He's supporting a party.
You have not responded to my question, and then of course
No,
there is
I
a whole thing
supported
about,
very well.
there is a whole thing
From
about
canvas,
Karnataka.
if you will pick and choose, we are not
40%
seeing the whole
cut
canvas.
money
How I can
allegation
answer you?
against sitting ministers in the Karnataka government by contractors. They have written a letter to the Prime Minister, no less.
Already, see, if it is there, so many whistleblowers are there, so many watchdogs are there. Sanket, I am just responding as a whole. You can't, you say in initial your statement, ki we can't do the pick and choose. Right now you are doing very special digging. Digging is fine, but ultimately then we should know the process. We should know how it is working, where the status is,
That's
who
the
all
thing,
are
no?
involved, who complained it.
In
So
some
you have
cases,
to make in that particular case to
some
understand the
cases,
public
see,
in a very specific manner.
This word, Ashutosh, this word, process. Do you feel that here lies the problem? And here an attempt is being made at political perception management. In one case, you deploy a process and the allegation is that the process itself becomes the punishment. And in another case, you deploy a process which then is so elongated and stretched like mozzarella cheese that you will never get to the core of the issue. Key word is process.
Sanket, it's like this. If somebody comes to my house, captures my house, and when I complain, I'm told, you go to the court. And if you don't go to the court, that means you don't believe in Indian constitution. Now, I will go to the court, it will take another 5 years, and by the time the person has already captured my house. I think this is ridiculous. This is seriously ridiculous. If they are talking about the Karnataka case, in Karnataka, there is a legendary case against B.S. Yedurappa. How many times his house has been raided by Enforcement Directorate and CBI? How many times Yedurappa's son Vijendra house has been raided? I can understand when even the High Court has said, please go ahead. Yes, I agree that the Supreme Court has stayed the FIR. But the fact of the matter is, in between, when these accusations were there, and serious allegation was labelled against Yedurappa, and it is not the first time. Yedurappa, he has to leave his chief ministership because of these corruption. He left BJP and created his own political party. But tell me, since he joined BJP, how many times ED, Enforcement, Police, CBI has visited his house, raided his house? Not once. So that's the problem. The problem is Yedurappa is on their side, and since he's on their side, nothing will happen to him. If the courts can want to punish him, convict him, that's a different thing altogether. But investigating agencies will not do. Investigating agencies will not gather evidences, and the case will be.
The court is not going to investigate on the behalf of an agency. As simple as that.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Mr. Deshatha Nigam, you said anyone has the right to move court. Yes, that is a legal process available. But ultimately, these agencies will have to do their job. And the allegation over here is that the agencies are working in cahoots with the government.
Let me
answer that.
Already the degree is there. Mr. Accusations should go and see the degrees, whatever the
very quickly, because I have to go. Yes, if you allow me, Mr. Jasmine Shah has not spoken. I'll come back to you. I'll give you a right to reply. Yes, Jasmine Shah.
Saket, thanks to all these examples you mentioned, Conrad Sangma, Yedurappa, today
By the way, that does
JP
not absolve your leaders. I am repeating this again.
Absolutely not.
There are allegations of corruption, and you will have to prove that you are innocent in a court of law.
Okay.
We are not sitting in judgment or absolving anyone.
Can I speak?
Yes, Jasmine.
Saket, can I speak? I have not been allowed to speak and you are interrupting me again and
Jasmine Shah, please.
Point I am making is that these repeated examples of BJP leaders given a complete free pass make sure today that in front of the entire nation, BJP has been reduced to a laughing stock. Every time now Prime Minister Modi will speak about corruption, people will laugh because they know that this is the reality year after year. As far as Aam Aadmi Party is concerned, see, it's very clear. BJP has been losing electoral battles at the hands of Aam Aadmi Party for the years together in Delhi. We have seen 3 Vidhan Sabha elections. We have seen now MCD after 15 years has also gone from the hands of BJP. We saw what happened in Punjab. We saw how Aam Aadmi Party has emerged as a national party. So the reality is that ED and CBI have today become tools when you cannot defeat an opposition party, when you don't have any answer to the schools, healthcare, all the fantastic work that Aam Aadmi Party today stands for, you initiate this politics of incarceration. You abuse the law to the extent, in the case of Mr. Satyendra Jain, the judge was transferred because the ED said that I don't like this judge. Have you ever heard this happening in the history of India? And then they say, nahi, process chal rahi hai. When your leaders are incarcerated or there is an allegation, The process never even goes to interrogate them. When was Hemant Biswa Sarma last interrogated? When was Mukul Rao interrogated? We are saying we are open to investigation, interrogate us. But putting somebody in jail, having no evidence, not an iota of rupee being traced to either Mr. Sisodia and Jain, that shows that this is nothing but pure
Now
vendetta politics.
Okay, fine. I get your point. Nahid Lari Khan has also not spoken, and then I come to you, Deshatani. Nahid Khan wanted to come in, yes.
In 17 years, ED filed 5,400 PMLA cases, only 23 convicted. In total, 65% of these cases were registered after 2014 since BJP has come in power. I saw in your news channel only that one of BJP MLA from Maharashtra who was recently in Congress but he came in BJP was saying that now I can sleep peacefully at night. ED will not come behind me because I am in BJP now. And the liquor policy, liquor you're talking about. In UP, the illicit liquor is the only thriving industry in UP. If you talk about Uttar Pradesh government liquor policy, इनकी पॉलिसी ऐसे है कि कम घर जो मैखाने खुल रहे हैं इतने कम दरों में इन्होंने लाइसेंस दिया है. And during COVID, when everything was shut, all shops were closed, only medicine shops or hospitals were open. Then the UP government here allowed the liquor shops to be open from 8 a.m. in the morning till 10-11 p.m. at night. So you talk about corruption in UP. There is so much of corruption. There's corruption in PWD department, Bundelkhand Expressway. There's corruption in roads. There's corruption in Namani Ganga. BJP came in power talking about Ganga Ma, and they have done a lot of corruption in Namani Ganga. And they came in power and talking about Gau Mata. They have eaten the chara of Gau Mata. There is corruption in Gaushalas. They're throwing away the Gau Matas. The Gau Matas are dying of hunger. And nobody is taking care of them. One IPS Ajay Pal Sharma, he openly said in media that he has to, they have to give 80 lakhs fees for crime posting. They have to send to
I think the
Lucknow.
point that is being made over here is that please do investigate allegations of corruption. But then there cannot be double standards. There has to be single standard. It should be equally applicable to members of the opposition also and members of the BJP also and all those members who have shifted from the opposition into the BJP also. Simple point.
Sanket,
is this a tall ask?
No, not at all. Absolutely. Agencies are supposed to work in a neutral manner and they must speed up their investigation and bring them to conclusion. We have issues with the judicial process because of the time it takes.
Sanket,
the number of cases which have been decided.
I'll come to you, Ms. Khan.
The number of cases which have been decided. Please, madam.
Ms. Khan, I'll come to you.
Please, madam. Please.
I'll come to you one by one, please. Otherwise, we won't be able to understand what Mr.
As I said, agencies must investigate promptly and speedily. Yes, it does take time in our judiciary. And out of 31 cases which have been decided in the ED, there has been about 25 convictions. When people talk of conviction rate will only come after conviction, not before conviction. So it cannot be compared with filing. The case has to be decided first. Then only you can fix a person is convicted or not.
I'll tell you another problem. I interviewed a lot of leaders from the opposition and they feel that this section that has been inserted for the ED to carry out their investigation is, in their words, draconian, where the onus or the burden of proving your innocence is on you once you are arrested or once you are questioned.
It is not for the first time. There have been laws like that. It's a French system of jurisprudence where in very serious cases they have brought in where you are guilty till proven innocent. Not the other way around, where the burden is proof is on the accused.
But given the recent cases where CBI comes in, IT comes in, and then immediately the Enforcement Directorate also comes in.
This issue had gone to the Supreme Court and Supreme Court has upheld this provision. Please understand that it was threadbare discussed in the Supreme Court and Supreme Court in ED case, which I think Justice Khanwilkar passed, the 3 judges bench passed. They have upheld the entire law of the PMLA. Please understand that because there are serious challenges which affects the governance of this
country. But I'm pretty sure the Supreme Court is not a hindrance when it comes to applying this rule.
I'm coming to that. Since you put me a supplemental question, therefore I answered.
I'll come to you, Ashutosh.
Let me answer that. Once talk about the process, the agencies have to stick to the neutrality. However, let me also tell you, once an FIR is filed, the process is taken over by the courts. Courts monitor it. It's not the agencies which can control the process. They may try to delay, but there is a court's supervision, oversight which is there. You've got to report. You can't say you are not going to investigate if the case has already gone to the court. That's the difference that people don't understand. You make it political, you say agencies are not doing it. Because
no, I'm only going by track record.
No, I'm asking you. I'm only saying, are we pointing fingers to a court system? Because the court controls the process.
No, absolutely
once
not.
the FIR is there.
Let me ask this question.
Once
of
the FIR is
Monica
lodged.
Mehrotra, when you say that the agencies are, yes, Subodh Kumar and then Monica Mehrotra, do you feel that you are questioning the legal system or you're questioning the investigating authorities?
Look, you have
when you say that
keeping in mind, the court controls once the FIR is filed.
Let me ask this question.
Let me
your
speak.
response.
You have asked rightly two very important questions. And first is that
who are you accusing?
No, let me, it will all be proven when I say, when you talk about process, now there is only one process, and that is a malicious intention to target and tarnish the image of the opposition party. Now, I'll give you a classic example what he was talking about. When you initiate the inquiry, you are innocent. Take the case of fodder scam. It was Lalu Prasad Yadav who initiated the CBI inquiry first. Second, take the case of Lalu Prasad Yadav, land for job case. In land for job case, CBI initiated the case, closed the case. For what he has closed the case? Again initiated the case, again closed the case. And third time, CBI went for an FIR when we formed a government in Bihar, knowing fully that 2024 is not possible without ED and CBI. And that is the reason why Lalu Prasad Yadav's son, who was a minor at that time, everyone has been raided today. Even today there is raid going on. This speaks volumes. This speaks volumes of committed bureaucracy. And now you talk about judiciary system. You know, very categorically I am saying, judiciary has done exceptionally and wonderful verdict that they have given. No doubt about it. But there are certain cases in which judiciary is not appearing just. If judiciary is doing justice, they should appear just. Look to the appointment process of the higher judges in the Supreme Court and High Court. There is a collegium system. Collegium system was not a natural system. It was inserted into the constitution.
Okay, Mr. Subodh Kumar, not because I don't want you to complete your thought, but the thing is that if we go into collegium,
no, I'm not going. Since there was a issue of judiciary that brought in. No,
I understand your point. Judiciary but the only thing is we'll reserve this discussion for another day. Because then this has its own merits and demerits and pros and cons and counter argument. And frankly, we have very limited time. Monica Mehrotra.
So why your topic is very relevant today? Because you see how the opponents are being targeted. You rightly started, not you, we all, we just comment on that. Right in your nose, Karnataka case happening, but no action be taken. Adani case, no action. But parallelly, there's a rush to attack the opponents, rush to give them target as corrupt. This is what is happening in the BJP arena. They are a rattled and a baffled party because they know 24 is approaching and they've done nothing in terms of employment, inflation.
No, because you just mentioned the Adani case. I want to know from you. You see many opposition parties have welcomed the Supreme Court, court appointed commission.
That's agreed to it, sir. But then when questions are asked in the parliament, what happens there? You expunge it. You're not allowed to speak anywhere. Will we not raise cases? The LIC, the SEBI, all these agencies are dumbfolded. They have no role to play.
But the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land, I'm just placing a counter argument that there is a 2-month timeline which has been given. And these are some very reputed people who are going to carry out the investigation.
But then,
should we or should we not wait for that investigation?
We should.
Why the SEBI is not come out with a word against Adani? Why? Because the son of Adani is married to a daughter of that SEBI, one of the SEBI member. We all know that. And Prime Minister, most of the times, beat his chest of 56 centimeters.
Inches,
not
centimeters.
Yes, inches, 56 inches.
You just shrunk his chest.
You have caught my imagination. You have caught my imagination. It's not 56 inches. It's only for saying. Actually, it's 56 centimeters.
Okay, so I'm going to come back
when
again.
You look to the opposition leader,
it is in my interest to keep this discussion focused on what we are discussing right now. Ashutosh and then Mr. Sharma, one by one. Ashutosh, now I ask a very important question. Not that the rest of the discussion was not important, but you see, when all these opposition parties have a common grudge, a common concern, and yet you do not see them on a common platform. It's, some formation or the other. It's like a permutation and combination. Congress plus this, but this minus Congress, that multiplied by this, the other divided by that. Do you feel that this directly provides an advantage to the BJP?
Sanket, before answering to that, before I want to respond to what Mr. Deshatan Nigam has said, my friend Deshatan Nigam, let's not hide behind the Supreme Court. Supreme Court judgment on the PMLA will go down in history as one of the blackest chapter. It's like ADM Jabalpur case, where I also reminded of what the statement was made by one of the brilliant justices this country has produced, Mr. Chandrachud, his father, the father. He said during emergency we all got scared. So judiciary is not above suspicion. There are serious question mark about the judiciary. If certain order has been passed, that does not mean it cannot be questioned, it cannot be criticized. The point number two, I think the problem with the opposition is that most of the opposition leaders, barring one or two, they do not have a national outlook. It's not the same opposition which used to unite against the Congress party. At that point of time, whether it was a leader like Atal Bihari Vajpayee or Lal Krishna Advani or Harkishan Singh Surjit, Jyoti Basu, Ram Manohar Lohia or JP, they all had a national outlook. They have an understanding that what kind of vision they have before the country.
Are you suggesting that these opposition parties don't have that national outlook?
I put my neck out. They do not have except one or two. If they had, they would have united by now. They would have formed a forum. They would have fought for the survival of the democracy and the constitution.
Including
and that's
the Congress.
No, I'm saying except one or two. Congress certainly has a national outlook. There is no doubt about it, because Congress is a party which has 12 crore voters and had a footprint from Kashmir to the Kanyakumari. But the opposition leaders were confined to a particular state. They don't want to get out of the state. If they are not touched there, if they are happy being in the government, they are not bothered about. And ask any of these chief ministers what vision they have about the country. Like Atal Bihari Vajpayee, we disagree with the RSS, but they have a vision that this kind of the country should be. Leftists had a vision about the country. A socialist Ram Manohar Lohia JP has a vision about the country. They wanted to create a welfare socialist state. Communists wanted to create a classless society, and the state should wither away. The rightist
by that logic, an RJD says that we fight for social justice. A Samajwadi party says that we fight for social and economic justice. Aam Aadmi Party says that we want to build schools and hospitals. That is our ideology.
Where is the integrated approach towards the nation building? Yeah, I'm not saying that they have a certain understanding about one or two issues.
Okay.
But where is the integrated approach?
Jasmine, I want to come to you. Why, if you all have the same concern, same problem, you seem to be united by these ED cases and CBI cases, but divided by your own, I don't know, egos, compulsions, you fill in the blanks.
That's
Which
not
is
true,
why you are
Sanket.
never seen with Congress. Congress will not be seen with BRS.
Sanket, that is not true. Let me correct you. That, last week something very unprecedented happened. 9 tall opposition leaders from all corners of India united in writing to the Prime Minister for the first time in the last 8 years. Something like this has happened, calling out ED, CBI and also the abuse of the office
Minus
of
the
governors
Congress.
and lieutenant governors. 2 more CMs subsequently, Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan and MK Stalin, also wrote supporting Aam Aadmi Party and all the other opposition leaders. Now, for some reason, if Congress does not want to be seen with any of them, and we do not understand why, because even in the parliament, when it was Aam Aadmi Party and others raising the issue of Adani, Congress decided that no, we will not stall the parliament, we will let the business go through. So there is something which is very different and inexplicable about Congress's behavior.
By the way, your own leader has welcomed the Supreme Court decision.
No, we are welcoming Supreme Court decision, and not just that. Far more scrutiny needs to go into the entire Adani matter. But of course, BJP does not have any answer. They will not even utter the name Adani, and that is why part of the reason is that this is nothing but a counter attack on opposition.
How does
because
this explain the fact
country doesn't talk
that
about
we
Adani.
still do not have what is often called as index of opposition unity? I mean, you've heard Ashutosh, you've heard the JDU, the RJD, they say you can't think of a opposition formation minus the Congress.
That
And
is
you
not
have
true,
declared them
Saket.
persona non grata.
That is not true, Saket. First of all, we have not made any such statement, and I think today more than opposition, it's the people of the country that are uniting, and that is far more important. If BJP feels that they will fool the people of the country by constantly saying opposition kharab hai, log sab jante hain. Even tall leaders like Mrs. Indira Gandhi thought that they were so powerful that nobody could touch her, and
Okay,
emergency
one by
came
one
upon
on
the
this,
country.
on
But
this specific point,
we'll see what happened
Subodh
after that.
Kumar and then Mr. Sharma. Yes.
Look, I fully respect Ashutosh ji, but when he speaks, I was, going back to my classes. He was talking about, that there is no
National vision.
national vision of the regional,
regional
political
party.
parties. When we look to the democratization of democracy, and especially after 1991, and centripetal forces and centrifugal forces, the centrifugal forces has supported the centripetal forces, whether it was Narasimha Rao government, Vajpayee government, or Manmohan Singh government. And exceptionally after 1991, regional party has contributed immensely in the empowering of the weaker section and empowering of the nation as a whole. In that context, we all have a national vision. But looking to this 2024 election, which I think Ashutosh was referring to, I personally feel that everyone has a compulsion. 1991 is not 2024. So in this compulsion, the centripetal forces, most of the time centrifugal forces will not align.
Can you explain this for a non-physics background?
Yeah, centripetal forces means a national.
After
national
significantly reducing the
Yes,
chest
yes.
size of the Prime Minister,
Yes,
now
yes.
you have come up with this.
No, actually it's the national political parties and the regional political parties. They have got a compulsion. Look to the Bengal, look to Telangana and everything. So at the lower level, at the centrifugal level, they are combining each other and fighting. And at the national level, there is another collision. But at the end, when 2024
Are you sure that you can play this physics wala to the voters in 2024?
No,
and explain them this.
It's not about voter.
This formulation.
It's not about voter. It's actually happening. It's actually happening at the ground, and the regional parties are smarter enough. Smarter enough to work according to the circumstances that
Mr.
we have.
Sharma, we are running out of time. Yeah, Mr. Sharma, Nahid Lari Khan, and then Onika Mehrotra.
Sanket, one
on the
thing is-
specific point on index of opposition unity.
No, Sanket, one thing is there for this index of political, opposition. Sorry, तो इधर उधर की बात मत कर. तू ये बता तूने कारवा कहाँ लूटा? See, two things
ये
are
थोड़ा
very
गलत हो
clear.
गया।
I know.
नहीं, ये नहीं हुआ है सर, ये करप्शन है. जनता है, सब जानती है, वो चाहती है कि ये सामने आए. And one thing is very clear. See, we have only one agenda. When we have entered from the politics to geopolitics, we should see the world where we have decided and designed a platform and target for you. Ki we will get the leap of and the pull of the developed nation. We should see how the zero tolerance is working over there, how the full performance is working over there.
Sure.
And BJP
Nahid-
government has
Nahid-
proven very
Nahid
clear
Khan
to
wants
it.
to come in.
Allow me 10
One moment. Nahid Khan has been patient. Nahid Khan, on the specific question of opposition unity.
BJP, the so-called wish की सबसे बड़ी party has become the wish का सबसे बड़ा richest party. Yeah, you're getting thousands and thousands and crores of chanda. Who's giving so much of chanda to
One
BJP,
rally
and
has
why you all
40
getting
crore.
so much of chanda? What work are you all doing in return?
Right. Now I want to ask you this question about index of opposition unity. Nahid Lari Khan, you look at the Samajwadi Party. When this Bharat Jodo Yatra reaches Uttar Pradesh, you say our ideology is very different. The point is that if you are all concerned over the same things, then what prevents you from coming together and joining forces? Or do you also realize, as some panelist in an earlier show once said, that anti-Modism as a plank will not work? You've got to be far more practical than just that.
No, Sanket ji, first thing that your voice is being cut, so I really cannot hear your full question. But only thing I could hear at the end was anti-Modism. See, what Modi ji, the people who, BJP calls him vote catcher. And if he would be the vote catcher, then what happened in Mainpuri election right now? Mainpuri BJP was booted out there were 5 Vidhan Sabha seats, BJP was there in 2 seats, and all 5 seats BJP lost. In Khatoli BJP lost, and in Punjab BJP just got 1% vote. BJP's history of 1977 is going to be repeated in 2024. People are understanding that this is a period of undeclared emergency going on. People are just waiting for 2024 elections. All these stunts of misusing of central agencies against the opposition parties, all such activities,
Okay,
all
can you
these
take
stunts
that- can
are
you
not
take
going
that
to help
message?
them, help BJP at all. It is,
Can you,
people
will
have
you be
decided
able to
and they've made
convince
up.
the voters is going to be the big question which Mr. Subodh Kumar
No,
explained in a very
voters are
scientific
already
way.
convinced.
Can you convince
Voters-
the voters that this
No,
is
no,
happening?
voters are
And will
already
they believe you?
convinced, Sanket ji. Voters already convinced. No wonder in
They are already
2022
convinced. Okay.
Vidhan Sabha elections,
Onika Mehrotra, running out of time.
Congress,
Yeah.
Congress is a pan-India party, and the central idea here is to fight against these forces who are dividing the country.
Okay.
That's the focus. And each party, sir, to be honest, the regional parties have their
One by
presence.
one. Naib Khan, one more. Yes.
See, Congress is a pan-India party, no doubt about it. But the regional parties definitely...
there is a doubt about
No,
it.
no, there's no doubt about it.
There is a doubt. You look at, we don't have a TMC spokesperson. They will say that you have no stake
in the regional
in
parties
Bengal.
definitely have made a say in their local areas. No two ways about it. So that's why we need to see that we have to come together to fight against a common agenda.
In 2020 in Bihar, in an alliance with the RJD, you fought on 70 seats. You won 19.
So the dynamics changes accordingly, isn't it? So now that the things are that the BJP is completely there to disturb
The
and
allegation
erupt the
is
country.
Congress is big brother.
No, it's not
Har
the
jagah
big
you want
brother.
the lion's
Yes,
share.
it is relevant. The regional parties have to understand.
Last word. Deshadranik.
Sanket, what is surprising and shocking is the opposition getting united on corruption. Not on development, not on other issues, but on corruption. It speaks high volumes of the level of corruption which is prevailing. Secondly, the regional parties have their own importance. But would they cede ground to another national party is a very important question.
Okay.
Because in India, as we see over the last 70 years, there is no space for two national parties.
Okay.
At direct to direct fight.
Okay. Let's leave something for our build up to 2024. We have run out of time. And as we end this broadcast, Mr. Sharma, I just want to read what you started. तू इधर उधर की बात न कर, ये बता कि काफिला क्यों लुटा? हाँ, काफिला है, कारवां नहीं है. Thank you. I am checking the Rekhta website by the way. Thank you very much. Short break right now. Be right back.